Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things.
Hey everybody, what's going on? I'm Tiffany. Usually I'm writing essays or whatever, but this is my first video. And since it's my first video, I figured I'd take the opportunity and take advantage of this new medium to be able to have a more in-depth conversation. So today I wanted to talk about what can sometimes be a touchy subject, and that's sex, especially teenage sex. So, I always like to start by being honest and transparent and telling you a little bit about my experience so that, you know, maybe you can relate to what it is I'm talking about and we can find some common ground. Because hopefully, by the end of the video, I will have answered some of your questions or gave you something else to think about uh, when you are trying to navigate your way through this thing. Um, and the first thing that comes to mind when I think back to me being a teenager was that, you know, my mother and father really drilled into me that it was not time for me to be thinking about something as serious as having sex. And I took heed to it for a long time, but I mean, I was a regular teenager, and so many of my friends were doing it, and I had boyfriends at the time who were trying to, pressure me to go down that path. So eventually, it was something that, like, I really had to start to think about and decide whether or not it was something that I was going to do. You know what I mean? So, I can only suspect that with you guys being around that same age, that maybe these are some of the things that you're starting to run into. So, like, what do you do? You know what I'm saying? Is it something that you think you're ready for? Is it not? When you decide, like, yay or nay, how do you navigate telling the person that you're with, like, no, I'm not ready? Or if you decide that you are, what do you do then? You know what I'm saying? So when I'm thinking back about it, like some of the main things that motivated me to even kind of go down that road were curiosity. Like everybody else is talking about it. Oh my God, it's all so good, and they're all, I guess, grown now because they're doing adult things. So like, man, like, what is all the hype about? Like, that's one thing. And I wanted to experience whatever it is that everybody else is just so gung-ho about. And on top of that curiosity and maybe some peer pressure from friends, you also, or I also, had the experience of the guy that I was dating at the time, saying that that's something that he wanted to do. And when you got a boyfriend, like, yeah, you want to, make the people happy, but is that something that I'm willing to do? Like, am I willing to go that far to make him happy? And all of those were things that I had to think about and try to decide, yay or nay. And so, like, what do you think about? How is it that you're gonna decide what to do in these situations? And so, uh, in order to help, I was like, well, maybe I can come up with a pros and cons list that I can, like, give y'all so that you can kind of think about what you want to do, and you can decide based on the list what's right for you. And so I'm thinking, like, what are the pros of teenage sex? And the only thing that I came to, like, for real, was that it feels good. But I mean, dang, like it's got to be something more than that, right? Or at least that can't be the only reason that you decide to do something that's really such a big deal. Like, all kind of things can feel good or be fun or whatever, and that doesn't mean that you should do them. You know what I mean? Like drugs, alcohol, all these things people get caught up in because they feel good or they provide some type of escape, but that's not a good enough reason to do it. So I'm still racking my brain yesterday when I was thinking about this. Like, what other pros are there? And I really didn't come to any. And it's not because there aren't any pros to sex. I just don't see many pros to teenage sex. And that's because sex is something that's really like an adult activity. When I was a teenager, I thought I was ready. You know what I'm saying? Couldn't tell me anything back then. I thought I had it together. I knew what I was talking about. I was practically grown, right? But now at 31, you know, like, and I am grown. I was so far from being grown back then that it's not even funny. Like, if I could go back and tell myself, like, Tiff, you don't know what you're talking about. If I could tell that to my 16-year-old self, 17-year-old self, I would, because I didn't. And it's just so much more to learn and experience before I guess we really for real get to understand that, man, like, I think I know, but I really have no idea. And so as you get older, you kind of learn those things. But you know, um maybe you don't have an interest in waiting, to another time. So if that's not the case, then we need to take the conversation further. Okay, the pros are it feels good. What are some of the cons of teenage sex? So the main one that I can think of is that it comes with a lot of responsibility. And that's just not teenage sex, that's sex in general. Because it's this physical act that can really shape the rest of your life. You know what I'm saying? Like, what if you got pregnant? What if you caught an STD? What if you caught an incurable STD? So now you got all these things that came as a result of, this one decision to take this step. And the question is, are you at a place where you think you can really make a sound decision? Can you really see the rest of your life and try to think of all the different twists and turns it can take based on whatever the outcome could be? So that's something to think about. Um, there's also more to sex than just the physical. Like, when you decide to start doing that, your feelings about people will change. They'll get deeper. Maybe you'll start to have expectations that the person's not going to meet because maybe they don't feel the same. Things get complicated. People get angry. People get hurt. Turns into a big mess. And that's also something that you might have to deal with. What if you get pregnant? So now you have to decide how you're going to move forward from that point. And then all these other heavy decisions come along with that. It's all stuff to think about. Like, it's just kind of what it is. So I'm not necessarily here to say what you should do, what you shouldn't do. I'm just here to point some things out, get your mind turning, hopefully, help you to make a more informed decision. But at the end of the day, Like, I would say take your time. There is no rush. You have your whole life ahead of you. Don't let anybody talk you into something that you're not ready for. Don't even talk yourself into something that you may not be ready for. Just, chill out. Let life come as it may. You know what I mean? But make your own choices and be sure. And if you choose that you are, ready to go that route, then be responsible. Take care of yourself. Don't leave your fate in someone else's hands. So, protection, safe sex, if that's what you're gonna do. But all in all, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a big deal, it's a big step, and people make such a big fuss about it because really it is something that you should be very I don't know if the word is cautious or whatever, but like, you should think a lot about it. It's not something to be taken lightly. So I'm not saying yay or nay. I mean, I really think you should take your time. You got your whole life ahead of you. No need to rush into anything. But, if you're already walking that path, maybe, and you're not being as safe as you can be, then make the choice to be safer. Make the choice to protect yourself. But in all things, you know what I'm saying? Choose you and choose to take care of you and to be the best version of yourself in whatever it is you got going on. So I encourage you to really talk to your parents, like, but if you don't feel comfortable talking to them, find somebody that's older that you can talk to that can kind of put you up on game and let you or help you make good decisions. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. I'd love to hear whatever your questions, response may be, and maybe we can continue the conversation later. Like, if you have questions, hit me up, let me know, and we'll go from there. So it's been a pleasure, ladies, and hopefully I'll talk to you again soon.
Let's talk about sex, baby.